Hi guys, welcome back to another quick card pull. This is being filmed on Wednesday, August 5th, 2026. Today we're pulling from the Golden Foil Tarot cards. So we have the Tower moment in reverse. This is avoiding a Tower moment. This is where they were showing like illusion. They were showing the 10 of Wands where you cannot get through this. This was meant to cause a major disruption. And it's like you know what I mean? Even though it's exhausting, it's taking a toll. You're on the mend, you're on recovery, but you know what I mean? I feel like with the strike of lightning, if you follow my channel, you'll see the unknown, the wild unknown card pull we did last week, and they had the lightning striking, and it was just like in 3 weeks time. So it's just like, you know what I mean? This could have gone either way, and it's just like, because you are who you are, this did not cause a major, they're saying penalty in the family. Could be in the family, could be in your life. But this is what they're showing. When they highlight Queen of Pentacles, remember, these are the nurturers that make up the Empress. So in this way, instead of going to a financial, I feel like it's both. I feel like not only do you bring home the bacon, but you also are the nurturer of the grounding force. You are someone that everybody can turn to for sound advice. You are someone that they can come to and they feel safe, they feel secure, they feel grounded. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you're the lightning rod. Like, you take the brunt of everything, and you know what I mean? You get people through things. And that's the biggest thing. We got the hair here that's being highlighted. I feel like the hair has been highlighted a lot lately in videos. And this is like the inner wisdom from spirit, but make sure you're taking care of yourself. Making sure that you're not running yourself into the ground, because, remember how we kept on saying everything I wanted, and the line that kept on sticking out, I don't want to let anybody know because everybody wants something from me now. You know what I mean? It's just like, you're going through it too, but, not maybe as harshly as someone else, where they're avoiding the Tower moment. You're helping someone with a Tower moment. And I feel like that's where spirit is just like, yeah, you can still be that beacon, but you still have to, make sure you're good. Six of Wands, you will be the victor wearing the wreath. Because you took the reins in this situation. You took control of the situation. I noticed in our situation there was a pattern. So I don't know how this is going to play out, but, I'm just very thankful that it's going in the way that we wanted. You know what I mean? And this is what it is. It's just like, who we were then and who we are now are two different situations. It can be showing growth, but I just feel like a lot of us are like, really? Right now? Two of Wands, this is universe showing that they're supporting you. And I was watching The Chosen, and the girl was, like clippets of it, and they were showing where she had so much faith. In the Torah and every spiritual book, it says that she touched his robe, his garment. But in The Chosen, it's his, I guess it would be his belt. And she touched it. She's like, even if I just touch it, she goes, that'll be it. Like, I'll be cleansed. I'll be free. Like, I'll be healed. And he could feel, like, that a deep healing took place. You know what I mean? This is where they tell you, like, when they talk about absorbing situations, absorbing energies, that's what he did. He absorbed her situation. Oh, obviously on a deeper level because he healed her. But that's what they were showing. Like, she had that much faith. And that's what I was like, that's the kind of faith I need to have right now. That I know this is going to turn out for the good. Because we put so much energy into the worst case scenarios. And I feel like they're like, no, you cannot be sitting there and start doom freaking thinking. Like, this is not for you to go down a rabbit hole that you like, we need you right now. This is not the time. You can you can do that later. You know what I mean? It's just like, no, this is not the time. This did cause a lot of heartache. And that's what I'm saying. This is going to be a time of recovery. This is the time where they said, I understand what he meant now. There was a gentleman on TikTok, and he said, there's going to be a time of major rest and rejuvenation. I'm like, is this because of measles and everybody's getting it, and it's just like everybody's going to be on lockdown again? Like, you know what I mean? Because they are hinting about that. You know what I mean? Like, that's what they're trying to, I'm not trying to get political, but that's what they're trying to use for his campaign, for him to get into for another term. And it's just like, are you for real? You know what I mean? You're going to threaten everybody with a mass 444, a mass lockdown, so you can get in for another term? Like, come on. I feel like the world will lose their mind if that happened. But judgment, this is where they're saying higher levels of thinking, trusting, being open to Spirit's information, open to Spirit's guidance, downloads of wisdom, of strength. You know what I mean? You'll be like, man, like, I feel like I got out of that unscathed. You know what I mean? But it's just like, you know, that's because you looked after yourself. You're like, you know, I can only pour. The thing is, you can only do so much. And if you ran out of every single thing to do, it's just like, I don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean? It's just like, you know, we either are on the same page or I don't know. You know what I mean? It's just like, that's where we have to work together. This is a major rebirth in your life. You know, when they were showing that yesterday with that, you know, with the little seedling in my mind's eye, like, this is like, that's what they're showing. There's growth here. You know what I mean? It's just like a lesson learned. And I feel like on a deeper understanding, you know, with the I'm a very visual person. I feel like you know what I mean? You definitely feel more of the emotions. You definitely feel more of a connection if you do your devotion. And it's just like, you know, hearing, you know, and seeing what you've read for years, or, you know, if you're just getting back into it, play out in front of you. You know what I mean? And just like when they were talking about Lazarus, and it's like he absorbed her mourning. He absorbed her grief. You know what I mean? And it's just like, that's why they tell you, unburden yourself and give it, you know. This is not pushing like, oh, you should do this. No. If that's what calls to you, then let it call to you. Like, it's, you know what I mean? Like, I grew up a certain way, like, you know, I'm not going to get into that, but it's just like, you know, we were not encouraged to, you know, when we tried to read those, you know, at that time the Catholic Bible. But you know what I mean? I feel like when you get older, you know, no matter how you've grown up, it's like, it's a choice how you live your life. Either we could sit there and use that as an excuse for bad behavior, or we can sit there and be like, you know what, just because, like, I'm free now, I was a child, I had no choice in those situations, now I have a choice. You know what I mean? I know some struggles are harder than others, and I know not everybody can be strong. I understand that. But, you know what I mean? Like, why are you continuing the cycle of madness when it's just like, now it's your choice? You know, and I feel like now this is a rebirth in your life, and I feel like that's where it's just like certain things are going to speak to you more. I feel like that's why I feel like there's this deep rest and rejuvenation and utilizing your energy in a certain way. So I don't feel like so much grief. Some of you, this may be grief. But I feel like for some of you, this is just like, you know, we're overcoming this situation and we're moving forward and we're concentrating on the things that make us happy. This is not to punish anyone. Like they were telling me, clean slate. So that's exactly what we did. Clean slate, start all over again. That's all we can do. You know what I mean? It's just like, we can react one way or we can react another. Positive confirmation of things moving forward. I definitely feel chariot energy. You know what I mean? We got the 6 of Wands. You know what I mean? But this is definitely chariot energy. You really, like, you know, you were just like, okay, you know, let them take the back seat, and you took control of the situation. You, like, it literally, if you were in a cart and like a horse and buggy, you would have, like, if they were the driver, it's like, okay, you sit in the back, you go lay in the cart, you rest, and let me get us through this. You know what I mean? This is kind of like in a biblical way. You know what I mean? Where they say, Jesus, take the wheel. You know what I mean? Because it's just like, I don't have the knowledge, I don't have the experience, I don't have the energy to go through this. You know, in this situation, it's just like when they showed me, when I went through this, I went to meditation, I went to working out, and that got me in a very good place. You know what I mean? And I still do meditation because I noticed, like, you know, my energies are this and this, and I'm like, you know, thankfully for sound healer Cody with his anxiety meditation, and I do it in the morning and at night, and it's not even long at all. So it's just like, you know, we can doom scroll on our devices for hours and hours. This is literally, you know, 3 minutes. You could close your eyes for 3 minutes, or whatever way that resonates with you to meditate. You need to sit there and ground yourself. You need to check in with you. You need to make sure you're good. You know what I mean? Like they said, like Queen of Pentacles, it's like you deal with all these, you know, endeavors, you know, people that are in a situationship where it's like, you know, they wear multiple hats. It's just like they take on, but don't get enough credit for it, but you know what I mean? It's just like, you know, you take on all these situations and, you know, don't even bat an eye. Something is coming here in 4 weeks' time, 3 weeks' time. They're saying, well, 4 weeks' time, let's take that. So a month from now. So September 5th. Something's coming out of the blue here, an opportunity. And I feel like this is gonna, they're saying like flipping a table, you know, turn things on its head, like in a good way though. You know what I mean? I feel like, you know, overlooked, and I feel like discredited and stuff like that. But I feel like but you don't need those things. You know what I mean? Like you're just like, like just go in, do what you need to do, and you know, that's that. So I just feel like changing things, a breath of fresh air. So like they said with this situation, I know they said by Sunday for us, and then, you know, this time. So it's just, you know what I mean? I feel like this is where they're just highlighting that things are, you know what I mean? Just because, like they've been saying, just because it looks like that today does not mean it's going to look like that for the rest of your life, especially because who you are, because you won't allow it. Showing the Four of Wands, you will be celebrating again. You will be laughing again. You will be doing the things that you used to do. This is, you know what I mean? Because of what you're doing. You've planted the seedlings, and you're making sure that these, like you're watering them. You're putting your energy into them. You know what I mean? This is guaranteed. If you put your energies into the right situations and the right people, this is where you're going to see that change and transformation. Because, again, at the end of the day, we can either keep on, you know, repeating the definition of insanity, or we can change things in a positive endeavor. We can move in a positive way. So Page of Pentacles, as we were talking, they kept on highlighting the 12th through the 18th. You know? So that's where I'm saying, like, you know, just every day may not be perfect. That's okay. It's not meant to be perfect. But this will get to where you need it to be. You will get to that. You will be the victor wearing the wreath. So ending with the Seven of Pentacles. 7 is also the number of enlightenment. You know? And this is where they're showing here with, you know, the seedlings that you planted. You know what I mean? What you've said, you've planted seedlings in them, and you're going to move forward. You know what I mean? You're going to move in the direction that you need to move in. Everything's going to work out. Everything's going to be just fine. I know it's worrisome and everything, but there's more to this story than what meets the eye. You know what I mean? There's more under the surface. And that's okay. Like I said, not every day is going to be perfect. But definitely take time to rest and recuperate. So I hope you guys enjoyed this quick card pull. May the universe bless you good. Protect yourself. Drink your waters. You know, make sure you're taking care of you. You matter. We'll see you for the next one.